Today's lesson, we're talking about Medicare Supplement insurance, Medigap. Okay, so we're already on Medicare Part A and Part B. We have other videos about how and when to sign up for Medicare, so you can refer to those. And then once we're on Medicare, we've already chosen the original Medicare route. So we're staying on Part A and Part B, and we're getting our Medicare from the government, as opposed to going with a Part C or a Medicare Advantage plan or managed care. So we've chosen that original Medicare route. And most people that do that purchase a Medicare Supplement policy or a Medigap policy. And so today we're going to talk about, give you a good frame of reference to make the decisions around Medicare Supplement. So I want to bring Tom on.
Yeah, and so I think, we want to, tell you what our why is for this video. And the reason that we're making this video is we have people that come to us every day that have been on Medicare 5, 6, 7 years. They've been on it a while, and they have the original supplement they bought when they first went on. And they never understood, they still don't understand that a supplement is standardized. A G plan is a G plan no matter who you have it from. And they're paying way too much for it. So really what we want to get across in this video today is that these plans are standardized. It's appropriate to shop these around every couple of years just to make sure that you have the same coverage. We don't want you to lose coverage, but not pay too much for it.
Okay. So way back when, in 1990, actually I was in the business then, I'd been in it for a while, the government, or the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, decided there was too much chatter going on. This stuff was real confusing for seniors. So in order to try to simplify it and make fair comparisons, they decided through OBRA 1990, it was a law, that we're going to standardize these things and we're going to call them by the letters of the alphabet. So, you got A, B, C, D. Wait a minute, where's E? F, G, where's H, I, J, K? So now they don't go exactly in the proper order. I'll get to that in a second. But they named them the same things that Medicare names their parts. So you got Part A of Medicare, you got Part B of Medicare, you got Part C of Medicare, and Part D for the drugs. And those are the first 4 standardized plans available. It just added to the confusion. It would have been a lot better if they would have used like colors or numbers or something, or states, or just something to identify these other than the letters of the alphabet. But we got what we got. We're going to make sense of it today. Now, what the 10 plans are is there's really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 variables. And so this is a building blocks thing. And the 9 variables, and so they just give you all the different mixtures of the 9 variables. And this thing used to be a little simpler than it is now. But we could go across this in detail. I have a sense that you can read. But I want to show you that any company that's in the Medicare Supplement business in your state, they have to offer the Plan A. Because you can't be in the Medicare, you can't go in and just offer G. You have to offer A and G if you want to offer anything. And this is true in 47 states in the District of Columbia. Now there's 3 states that don't play with this standardized A, B, C, D, F, G, as they don't call them that. They have something similar, and those are Massachusetts, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Those 3 states have something standardized, but it's different in all 3 states. So if you want some help in those and understanding those, just give us a call. We're licensed in all 50 states in the District of Columbia and help people in all the states across the country. So what I want to show you is the Plan A is the most basic coverage. And what it does is it covers all the co-insurance for Medicare. It covers the Part B co-insurance. It covers the first 3 pints of blood. and it covers hospice care, the part that's not covered by Medicare, but none of this other stuff. And then it goes across the board, and it just adds and subtracts and made all the different variables. And you say, so why do they have to make this so confusing? Well, if you just limit yourself, most of the people that we sell supplements to, the highest percentage is the Plan G all by itself. The next highest percentage is the Plan N. And the next one, or the third in line, is the Plan G high deductible. So we're going to narrow our focus a bit and just get into, so why is this? Is the Plan G only has one box where there's no coverage, and that is the Part B deductible. And there's still a Plan F available, and the reason we don't sell a lot of those now is because if you went on Medicare 2020 or after, you can't buy a Plan F. And it's just, you can't have coverage for the Part B deductible. But that's the only thing that the Plan G doesn't cover that the Plan F does, or all the other plans. So what I'm saying to you is, those of you that are like over 68 and you've been on Medicare for years, you can still buy a Plan F. Or if you have a Plan F and you want to replace it with a new, less expensive Plan F, we can do that for you. And it's still available. If you went on Medicare 2020 or after, you can't buy anything that covers the Part B deductible. So that leaves us with Plan G. And the reason it's the best seller is it fills all the gaps. Medicare Part A and Part B leaves a lot of gaps, and the G fills them all except for that Part B deductible. So that leaves you with an out-of-pocket for $226 a year. That's pretty good between Medicare and the supplement. That's why people buy it. Now, people that want to save a little money, they're going to go over here to the Plan N. And the Plan N, what it does is it simply eliminates a couple of categories. Is you have a limit on this one, and you've got no coverage for the Part B excess. So there's a couple of categories that are not covered on the N, and they are covered under the G. So it's a way to discount it a little bit. In a state like North Carolina or the central part of the country, it's going to save you maybe $20 a month. And that'll be a decision you can make. Most people just go with the higher premium and get that Part B excess. Even if it doesn't do a lot for you now, it could in the future be a real thing where a lot of doctors that don't take Medicare assignment. So between G and N, and then with the G is that people that are used to having a large deductible, there's a version of the G called the high deductible G. And the high deductible G just puts, it's the same as the regular G, but there's a $2,700 deductible. So it doesn't pay a dime until your expenses, other than Medicare, get to be $2,700 in a given year, and then it's going to pay the rest. So we have a number of people that buy that. I want to bring Tom on, and I want to show you, first of all, the show notes of where you can find this in the guides.
Yeah, and so we have these show notes and the link below the video. They're also on our website. You can find them there. But again, we have the full Medicare guide as part of the show notes. We're not going to look through every page. It's quite lengthy. But if you haven't seen this before, I encourage you to take a look at it. The thing I want to point out is page 11 of the guide here is literally just what we have on the board. I mean, we've taken this chart, we've put it on the board. And so if you want to get into more detail, it provides some, it goes into what the end plan, what those copays are for the Part B coinsurance and stuff. So if you want a little more detail, you can find it in this guide. Again, I'll just show you. I mean, it's, 40 something pages long. So we're not going to look through every page, but if you want to see the full guide, it's in the show notes. You can find that at the link below.
So Tom, why don't you go now to the website, and let's show them how there's a calculator that you can use on our website where you don't have to tell us who you are.
Sure. Yeah. So let me get that pulled up here in 1 second.
So what he's going to show you is if you want to look at a Plan G from several companies, and he's just going to enter our North Carolina zip code, but you can follow what he's teaching you and just go in and put in your own zip code, put in whatever plan you want to look at, and it'll show you the prices from several different companies. You can do all that without telling us who you are. So a lot of people are concerned about putting any of their information in anywhere because they're thinking they're going to get deluged with their information is going to get sold to other Medicare supplement salesmen. That's not going to happen on our website.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. Is if you just Google Medicare supplement prices and you click on the first thing that pops up, it's very likely an ad. It very likely requires you to put a phone number and email in. And as soon as you do that, you're going to get calls almost immediately with people trying to sell you stuff. And so what we wanted to do was provide that service without you having to provide any of your information, where you can go look at these prices just sort of without having to disclose who you are. So I'm going to walk you through how to get there. If you just go into whatever web browser you're using and type in cardinalguide.com. So that's going to take you to our website. This is where you can get this. I'll actually, the show notes just to show you real quick are under the Learning Center. That's not what we're going to spend time looking at, but that's where you'd find it. But if you're looking for the Medicare Supplement Price Quote tool, it's under the 7 worries up at the top part of the screen. You click on that and you scroll down to the second one that's titled Medicare. You click on that. And then about halfway down the screen, once that page loads, is you'll see a thing that says start free comparison. So I'm going to put in the zip code just for our office, just to give you an idea. And we'll do it for someone who's turning 65, which is what a lot of people looking for the Medicare are doing. I'll run it as a male, and we're going to put non-tobacco. And then you hit run comparison. So I didn't have to put an email. I didn't have to put a phone number. Our website isn't tracking any of that. Literally, you just have to put in your zip code. And it goes through and we'll run the price quotes. We'll give it a second here. And so then I can see for a G plan in this zip code on a male rates, what are the prices for the different plans? So you can just look through here. You know, Cigna is at $100 a month. If we scroll down, I just want to give you an idea. We scroll down to the very bottom. All of these are the same coverage. Humana, some of these are their rated policies, but Humana 181 is the identical coverage to Cigna. It was at the $100 a month price. Some of these prices could include a discount if you're married or even if you live with somebody. So the actual price you might pay could be less than what you see here, but this gives you some sense of what we're looking at. If we wanted to look at some different plans, you could click on the plan tab here. Let's look at the high deductible G plan for a second. And again, this is all at the same zip code, but we'll give it a second to think. And so these are the high deductible G plans. Again, these are all identical. They're standardized. There's no difference between one company to the next other than the price they're charging. If we look at the in plan, we'll click on that. Again, just to show you how you could use this. And so these rates could be different from you. If you're older, they might be different. If you're married, they could be different. If you live in a different area, they're going to be different here. But, go in, plug in your information and just see what it is. And so here's the in plan. Again, all these are standardized. So you can find that on our website. It's free of charge. You don't have to put in any information. We're not selling your information to anybody. And it's right there on our website under the Medicare tab under the 7 worries section.
Okay. So, you don't need to do an analysis of all this stuff, but people do. They get into the book that Tom showed you, the Medicare Guide, 50 some pages long. They start reading it and they try to figure all this stuff out. They get mixed up of whether Part A and Part B are the difference between that and Plan A and Plan B. So if I want to simplify this, is if you don't want a Medicare Advantage, you don't want to get on managed care, you're staying on original Medicare, you got Part A and you got Part B, then simply buy a Plan G. Just buy a Plan G. And if you want to see how much that's going to cost you, you can go to the tool, you can call us up, you can write even into us and give us your age, give us your zip code, your gender, whether you smoke or not, and we can pull up a whole list of all the different companies. Don't necessarily buy the least expensive one, but you don't want to overpay for this stuff. If you can find a good company that you're comfortable with from among the least expensive ones, then by all means change to that or buy that in the first place. But the Plan G, if you want to save a few bucks, go with the plan N. If you want to save a lot of bucks and you're used to carrying the risk yourself and you only want catastrophic, then go with the high deductible G. And that's, I want to bring Tom back on.
Yeah, I think one other point I want to make is really where we see this become a problem is it's helpful when you're first coming onto Medicare just to make sure you don't overpay. Where we can see a lot of savings, if someone has been on Medicare for many years, this might be a sibling, it could be a spouse. I mean, someone, it could be a parent, someone you know who's been on it for a long time. Run their price through the software, see what other companies are charging. Because a lot of times you can save quite a lot of money per month if they've been on it for several years. So this is something that, there are underwriting considerations. You have to answer questions to switch once you've been on Medicare. But if they're healthy enough, and if you have a question, if they're healthy enough, call us. We can tell you fairly quickly whether they are or not. There's a lot of savings that people can have, and there's no reason to be paying $50, $60, $70 a month more than the next company for the same coverage.
Okay, so the 7 subjects that are in our financial plan: Social Security, Medicare, long-term care, IRA, 401k, strategy planning, income and income planning, estate planning, and taxes. We generally relate our information to a bunch of these topics, but today it's only Medicare. That's all we're talking about. But this is important to everybody 65 and over. And, you might wonder, what's a CFP doing, or what are 2 CFPs doing messing around with Medicare? This stuff is important for your whole retirement and healthcare, and we want to get it right, and it's different for everybody. So with that being said, I'm Hans Scheil.
And I'm Tom Griffith.
And we thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.